Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of So Chatty with Walter and myself, Stephen, but I need no introduction. Actually, it's more like Walter never needs any introduction. People go, oh, it's Walter and the other guy. Yeah, whatever. So before we get into today's topic, death and fabric, let's talk a little bit about what I've been working on and what Walter's been working on. So as you can see, this is my mistletoe Christmas quilt, which I finished earlier this week, and I put it on Lucy, and Lucy was a very good girl. Very good girl. We had no problems. In fact, I did 2 projects on Lucy. You'll see the other one shortly. And then I bound it, and I think it came out pretty nice. And these are the fabrics that were gifted to me by Julie Kuhn, who's one of our regular subscribers here. And I like it. I think it turned out quite nice. What do you think?
It looks very nice.
Good. Agree with me strongly. Yes.
It looks nice.
Looks nice. Nice for you. What are you doing? You had a butt.
No, I didn't have a butt.
I don't know.
It looks nice for a Christmas quilt.
There's always a catch. Always. No. Never mind. Moving on. I just finished this one this morning. This is the Pine Cones table runner. It's an In the Hoop project as well, and it did all the embroidery and all the quilting like on it as well. A little tricky when you've got curves, but I found a way. I read about this and I tried it, and it does work. You know, you usually have to clip a little bit around each curve to get things to lay flat when because it's one of those turn them inside out. Notch them. Well, I used pinking shears, and that works dandy. Wow. Now, pinking shears are a little tough going through 3 layers because there's 2 layers of fabric and a layer of batting in this. But it really did allow you to get the curves to come out pretty flat. So
that's an idea.
That's a tip. There's probably people out there that knew that already, but it was new to me on how to do that. And it was suggested to me by, I think it was one of the people that was on the Wednesday Sew Day said. I think that's where I heard it. But anyways, yep. So I've got another table runner for Christmas. I do have a purpose for this, though, for Christmas Day. Okay, and nope, that's not what I want to show. I guess I did have another table runner, but I'm showing that next week, that I had made some time ago, just the top, but when I was doing the mistletoe quilt on Lucy, I purposely used the same backing fabric, and what I did was I just added the table runner onto the batting and the backing that was already there. I didn't take the other quilt off, and away we went. And I was using the same design, so yeah, worked out well. Lucy was such a good girl. We visited with Tracy at Whirls N Swirls yesterday because I had a few questions about Quilt Path. That's the computerized program for my long arm that I wanted to go over with her. And we'll talk more about that on Stephen and Walter Live on Sunday. So, moving on. What's Walter been doing? He's been working on our Christmas shirts or whatever, and another shirt.
Yeah, well, another shirt. I've gotten to the point of doing the neck. I haven't revisited that yet. But I'm leaving that right now because I'm started these Christmas shirts, and I want to get them done before Christmas. And I'll work at this one after I get those done. And I started it. I've cut them out, and I've started the fronts. So there's one half of a front there.
That's my shirt. That's the penguin shirt.
Then I got the other one started, and that's one half of a front for the other one.
Yeah, this fabric does feel different from what we're...
Yeah, it's a little rougher, coarser.
Yeah.
The weave doesn't seem to be as fine. And yet they are prominent companies that produce the fabric, like Wilmington Prints and stuff like that.
I have noticed, though, on novelty fabrics in other brands, too, sometimes they just feel different. I don't know why. Maybe it's the process, how they make it.
Yeah, well, maybe it has to do with the printing on it or whatever. But the fabric's a bit stiffer. Actually, it reminds me of the fabric I got from Spoonflower. You know, their standard cotton. Yeah. Because it feels like that shirt I made with the
You pre-washed these, didn't you?
Yeah, I have to
So it's not
pre-wash everything.
sizing that's in it.
And yeah, I don't know. Like the Spoonflower Basic Cotton is that's what it feels like.
Hmm.
Whereas normally with these other shirts, they're usually, even though they're novelty print, they're usually a little softer feeling.
Well, anyways, so we're we're aiming for Christmas Day, so we have those shirts for Christmas Day, or possibly even for Christmas Eve when we have the social.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of things that are coming up, Sewing with Me on Wednesdays, that's still on as always. The last couple of weeks we've had a little less than average number of people there, but of course we had American Thanksgiving, and now people are getting into the Christmas mood and probably have lots of things to do and get things together. So, but that's okay. You know, whether I have 2 or 222, well, I can't handle that many, but I run it anyways. So it's always there. Okay, so speaking of events, just a reminder, December 20th, Pop-Up Sew Day. I'll be sending out things when we get closer to that date. We still got a couple of weeks to go before that. Christmas Eve Social on December 24th, of course, because that's Christmas Eve, as we all know, right? And again, more details will come out about that when we get closer to the date. And New Year's Day, Pop-Up Sew Day as well. So lots coming up in the next few weeks around here. Have to make one correction note. On a So Chatty, not last week, I think maybe it was the week before, and I forget, now where is it? Gotta find my thing here to show you. We were talking about, you know, how you choose colors and things like that, and that's not what I want. Okay, bear with me, people. Jeez. This is what I... No, that's not what I want. All right. Anyways, we were talking about the color of the year, Pantone, and I said I really like the color that they have come up with for 2026, and that's what it said in the search engine that found. I forget, it was called Transference or Transformation Teal or something. I forget exactly what it was. Well, that's not the color of the year. Apparently, I don't know why that came up as being the color of the year for 2026, because I saw a news report this morning and they were talking about it, and I went to the Pantone site, and it was the Pantone site I got the other one from, and I'm just trying to find my stupid thing to show you here. What did I put that under? Just give me a sec. So I found my picture of the color of the year, which I really like the other color better, because this is called Cloud Dancer. And it's a little bit pixelated, the picture here. See if I shrink it down a bit. It's basically white. This is it, right here. Cloud Dancer. Like, why? It's white. What the hell? They run out of other colors? Like, I really like that other one, which was Transformational Teal, I think it was called.
Well,
or Transitional
depending
Teal.
on what is this the color of the year for fabric, or is this the color of the year for...
It's for everything.
Oh, okay.
Pantone are the people who do the official colors. They have codes for them. It's what paint companies use to
probably
develop.
Because people are beginning to stop using white, so they're trying to sell more.
I don't know, but I mean, I think that's a stupid color of the year. You know, it's debatable whether white is a color anyways, because white and black are the colors, the lightest spectrum of any color and the darkest spectrum of any color.
Yeah, I know, but isn't there different tones of white?
Depends on how dark it gets. Or how light
like,
it
I mean,
gets.
you get ones that have a slight blue tint, ones that have a slight...
Yeah, you do. But Cloud Dancer, give me a break, Pantone. So I'd rather have Transitional Teal. I liked Transitional Teal. I thought that was pretty. Okay, so anyways, I want to make the correction because nobody caught me on that one. Well, I did a search, came
Not
up
even
with
Ross?
theirs. No, nobody did. Well, it came up and said,
Yeah.
Pantone color for 2026, transitional or whatever, transformational teal. And yeah, I was kind of excited about the color because I was saying, ooh, if they get some fabrics in that shade too, that'd be really nice. Well, anyways, we just got good old plain white. No imagination there whatsoever. Okay. You know, if anybody ever thought that colors can't get you emotional, I just proved they can. I'm very emotional about this color, or lack of color. Okay, so I made that correction. So now, as of today, Friday, December the 5th, our first of 5 videos went up about opening the Missouri Star quilt box. And I know that there are videos out there already. And so some of you have probably already seen the first 5 days. But for us, we were doing them in chunks of 5, as you know, and explained it. So our next chunk of 5 will be days 6 to 10, and that will come out on Wednesday, on December the 10th. But we do a commentary. And I am surprised to date we haven't gotten any hate mail on the first 5 items. But we haven't. In fact, we're getting the exact opposite. So I thought I would share some of the comments that have come in since it went live this morning. Let me find them. Here we go. Okay, so these are the comments that have been coming on about our opening up of the box. Now, so we, in the first 5 days anyways, have not been impressed by the box. And considering that it was well over $300 Canadian that I paid for this box, yeah, needless to say, well, spoiler alert, I'm not buying it again next year. There's no way. But let's just see what other people had to say, because there are people who are die-hard Jenny Doan fans and Missouri Star Quilt fans, and you know, whatever I said or whatever we said that may have criticized the box was sure to get those people's goats going, and they would probably be writing us hate mail. So some of these ones, Balloonist said, the mug would be my first choice as well. I have a 28mm rotary cutter from the dollar store that works for the limited amount of times I need to cut small pieces. That rotary cutter, which was a day 2 prize, we're starting to hear reports coming in now, and I think there might be a comment in here too about it, that apparently it's weighted at the top, and they say there's ball bearings in it for that. I didn't notice that it was weighted, but to be honest, I haven't cut anything with it yet. And apparently the screw on the side, the nut on the side that holds the blade in, comes loose as you're using it. You know, this doesn't surprise me, given what the quality was of some of the gifts last year. They were really cheap too, and they didn't work the way you thought they were supposed to work. So this doesn't surprise me. In the first 5 days, the best gift out of the grouping is probably the mug. And there are people who are buying the box this year. I've seen this on other sites. They bought the box because they wanted to add a mug to their collection, because they've been getting the Missouri Star quilt. I think
this is an expensive mug.
Yeah, really. For us, that's a $300 mug. Yeah. They are nice mugs. I will say that. This is my 3rd one because I've had the box 3 times now. And they are nice mugs. They're stoneware. And so far, well, I haven't used mine much. I used this one first time today, actually, for coffee. They're a nice size, good weight to them. And, well, hopefully they stand up in the dishwasher. They should. But then again, I thought a lot of things would stand up over the test of time and use with the Missouri Star Quilt box. And I've been sadly burned before. Another one said, I like your honest pigeons. That's the word I want. Opinions. I watch a couple of reviewers who add up the cost of the items to see if the box's value exceeds its price. What they don't do is add up the value of items they will actually use to compare that number to the price they paid. I don't buy any boxes, but if I did, I would value an item I was never going to use at $0. I would not use any of the items opened so far. So this particular individual is not impressed by the box so far either, but I do agree. Now, I think it is Chris O'Neill of Sew the Distance. She does the box on opening every year, and she likes to give them $1 value. She does a little research to find equivalent products on Amazon or other sites, and she kind of like takes a conservative estimate based on those, and she's been doing a running tally. So if you've been watching her, but that is something. If you're not going to use the item, then really you're not getting any value for it. So it's zero value. And I think that's really true. I hadn't looked at it that way. But you can bet, though, Chris may be finding prices of equivalent products and that, but that is not what Missouri Star Quilt paid for them, of course. And
yeah, like she's looking at it, the retail value, which
yeah,
I would assume I mean, yeah, you're buying the box at retail value.
yeah.
But the items that go in the boxes, these things are either manufactured for Missouri Star or whatever. They're making a tidy little profit.
Oh
on
yeah,
these
they're
boxes.
making a big profit, not a tidy, but a big profit.
Yeah,
Big profit on it. There's no two ways about it. But yeah. And Mark said, I don't think you're being too hard, meaning the criticism. I would be making a trip to Goodwill with the entire box. Yeah. Laura says, glad this came up in my recommendations. I've been seeing some of the other unboxings where they do tend to gush. It's nice to have a different viewpoint. I love the fabric. It's my colors, but the dog and the cat templates, as some would say, yeah, no. Very true. And I'm glad that Laura here recognizes the fact that we don't gush. We're giving an honest opinion as a consumer. Okay? We paid for the box with our own money. So we're under no obligation to say nice things. Now, it's not that we're purposely trying to say negative things. It just naturally lends itself to it so far. But, I'm not...
Yeah, well, like some of the items that were in the box, which I try not to give any spoilers, that I didn't think were very good quality.
No. Yeah, it's because there's more to come, as you'll see. But, yeah, I'm not going to blow smoke up their a-holes just because it's who they are. No. I'm given an honest point of view from a consumer's point of view. I mean, that's a lot of money to spend on one of these. Full-Time Life said, I bought this box last year, agreed with you, and did not think it was good value for me. Did not order it this year, and so glad I did. Nothing so far I would actually purchase. Princess says, day 4 for a very beginner would be fantastic. I'm trying to think what day 4 was. Was that the hot plates, the cat and the dog?
I would think so.
I think so. I would probably make a little yeah, that's the one. I would probably make a little purse for a grandchild with it. More experienced levels will do different things with these things. I like the boxes for taking me out of my comfort zone. Never would have made a purse or bag had it not been for this box 1 year. Okay, she does have a point about maybe for a new quilter, they would be really excited about some of the stuff that's in it.
Or it might bring somebody to out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. With it. Now, I think she's referring to the cat and dog templates that you were to make into a little mug rug. Well, Chris O'Neill made the mug rugs with it, and she didn't say it up front, but the tone in her voice was this didn't really impress her that much, and yeah, kind of a useless waste of time.
Yeah, actually, but this lady said about making a little purse or a bag for a child. That actually
for a kid.
A kid, actually, that would make more sense.
That's sort of thinking outside of the box and what can you do with the stuff in there that may not be to your taste, but maybe there is something you can do with some of these things. That's a positive way to look at it. Patricia says, my favorite is the mug. I bought the box last year and used the mug almost every day. I was very disappointed in the box last year and will probably never purchase another one. Yeah, I was disappointed in it last year too, but I still bought it. But I'm not again. I totally agree with your assessments, Carolyn says. I had already decided this was my last year with this Advent box, costing Canadian exorbitant. Yes, it is. It's over $300. And I hope that I'd love most of it. Unfortunately, not. Now, I'm not sure. Lucy says, love this feature, but it must cost so much.
I'm not sure, but I think Lucy, if I recall correctly, Lucy is UK.
Yeah, she's in the UK. So yeah, it would cost me. I guess it's the word feature she's saying. I guess she means the box,
Yeah.
the whole box. At first I wondered if she meant one of the things that we mentioned, but either way, she's right. Um.
We were wearing antlers, remember?
Oh yeah, here for antlers, for the antlers. Okay. Glad you like the antlers. Um. Sarah says, I'm obviously not like your regular viewers. I like it all. This is my 6th year getting the box and I love it. For me, having a surprise every day is half the value. I also like when I get something I wouldn't normally do because it helps me to try new things, or sometimes it challenges me to come up with another way to use items, which is what we were just saying a moment ago. Well, here's a positive comment. And, it's up to the individual. But she's saying it's her 6th year, but it sounds to me like what she likes more than anything is the little surprise every day, which is fun. I get that. It's kind of exciting. You got a little gift. You want to, you try to guess what it is and open it up. So yes. She says that's half the value. My way of thinking, that's probably more than half the value because not the gifts, but Laura Lee says, I agree with you guys on the first 5. I've also heard the rotary cutter has, oh, this is where the comment was. Heard the rotary cutter has ball bearings in the head, which makes it heavier, and the screw comes loose while you use it. I've never bought one because most of this stuff is too cutesy or useless to me. She means the box. If I want a surprise box of quilting items, I will give my daughter the money and have her pick out 25 items for me. I would love them all. Yeah, okay, that is a good idea, and that's what Russ of Quilt Meets World is doing with his sister. He gave his sister X amount of dollars, and they went shopping back a month or so, or a couple of months ago, and he kind of said to her, well, this is something that would be good in a box, or this is something that would be useless in a box. And he doesn't know what she got him. But she's wrapped it all up, labeled each thing with a number for the date and everything. And she put a little note in each box too. And he's having a lot of fun with it. And quite frankly, the stuff that his sister is putting in the box is much more valuable and interesting than what so far has come out of the Missouri Star quilt box.
Maybe
Heidi,
we should do that next year.
yeah, maybe we should. Yeah, maybe we should next year instead. We should create, if we were going to have an Advent box from the Idiot Quilter, what would be in our box? That's an idea. We'll have to keep that in mind and see. We're not going to be offering it to people though, because shipping would be incredible. Now Heidi, who's a regular subscriber, ho ho ho, we've got questions. Does Stephen Walter have the antlers? Leave it to Heidi to pick up on that. She also says the snow globes would make cute mug rug coasters if you didn't want to make the wall hanging or table runners. She's talking about the panel that was on the first day. And actually, Chris O'Neill did that. She made one of the blocks just to try it. And actually, when you see the block made, it is kind of cute. But what she said was she couldn't see really making a whole quilt with this. But making a mug rug or a pot holder or something like that, she was looking at it from the bright side of what could you do if you think outside of the box with the stuff.
Yeah, well, when I saw the panel, I thought it was kind of cute that it had these little
globes.
Yeah, no, not globes, but little scenes.
Yeah.
For the globes.
And the one that she made, Chris O'Neill made, was really quite attractive. And I looked at it and thought, oh, man, I should pull that thing out and take another look at it. Donna says, I will never buy this box. It never has had anything I would go out and buy. Never has the value. And I think that kind of sums it up so far for the first 5 days anyways. Because I agree. You're not getting your money's worth with this kind of thing. So, and I think that's important. That when you're putting, as a business, if you're putting something like this together and you're charging big bucks for people to buy it, yes, I understand you want to cover your costs and maybe make a little money on it. But where does the greed stop and good PR begin? Because really, it's really good PR for your company. right now, Missouri Star Quilt, from the small sampling of comments that have come into us so far, and what I have seen on other channels, people aren't impressed, and that's not really a great reflection on Missouri Star Quilt. And if people have never bought anything from a certain company, and this might be their first taste of this company by watching these vlogs that people are doing of the unboxing, you could probably bring in more business if people were having a positive experience opening the box. So,
I mean, obviously there's at least one on our group here that likes
it.
it. And again, maybe it's viewpoint from people that don't get a lot of gifts at Christmas, and they look at it more as a gift to themselves.
Yeah, well, and I know that there are people that's exactly why they buy the box. They live alone. They don't, they're really not getting gifts. It brings them a little bit of Christmas cheer. And I'm all for that. I think that's a positive thing.
The only thing I have comment is that it would be, like, for instance, the snow globe thing.
Yeah.
You got the fabric that you cut out and everything, but it's still up to you to add fabric to make it an item. It's not like you're getting a complete kit for it.
No, and somebody on Wednesday Sew Day mentioned that they thought there needed to be more fabric in these boxes.
Like they don't maybe have to set it up as a quilt, but even just a table runner or something like that, where they could provide all the fabric for it. To make an item for it.
Yeah, most of the projects, and I'm going on the last couple of years that I got the box too, are partials. You still have to supplement from your own stash. Now, yeah, there's an argument for that. Fabric is expensive. Yeah, that's true. And also it's weighty. So these things are being shipped out. And so that would raise the cost of the box in terms of shipping. Now, Missouri Star Quilt has, they charge only $20 no matter where you are for the shipping of the box. Well, it's $20 American. But, I don't think that's too bad for what they're doing. But other companies might not. It might be whatever the going rate is on whatever the shipping would be. And if it's based upon weight, and that could make the box even more expensive. So that's, you got to kind of balance the two. But some of the fabric too that's in these boxes is not the best. It's like leftovers. It's like, you get a charm pack and you're thinking, what'd you do? Did you buy 3,000 charm packs and 2 sold? So you got these left over, toss them in the box. And I have seen some unboxings of other businesses or that where the stuff they've put in are promotional items that they got for next to nothing. Like, do you need a keychain with the name of the store on it as one of the gifts? That kind of thing. So I'm not saying Missouri Star Quilt has done that, but that brings up the whole question of branding too. But we don't need to get into all of that today. We'll get into that maybe on Stephen and Walter Live or something, or down the road when we, when you see the rest of our videos as they appear. But anyways, yeah. So I'm hoping that anybody who did get the box, you live in hope if you haven't opened it all yet. There may be still hope at the end of this. Okay, so today you saw in the title, Fabric Estate Planning. Now, this was a topic suggested by one of our subscribers, and I'm going to read what this subscriber wrote to us, and so you'll know what the basis is for today's topic. This came from Mary Mack, and she says, what should quilters do with their stash when they die? How do we ethically dispose of all that stuff? My cousins recently asked if I wanted anything from their mom's sewing stash. She passed 5 years ago after a long struggle with dementia. Sadly, much of the fabric was in too poor a condition to use, and what was usable was not to my taste. Much of it dated to the 1960s and was 30 inches wide and was Dacron cotton blend. Some of it still had the price tags on it from when the fabric was $3 per yard. Local thrift stores were turning even the good material away. Here in North Carolina, there are places such as the Durham Scrap Exchange that will take fabric and craft material donations for resale. Massachusetts has Swanson's Fabrics. So I thought, well, yeah, that's not something maybe, well, I don't think about it. And I'll tell you why later. But I have heard other people say, well, I have all this stash. I have more fabric than I can ever use in my lifetime. I don't know what I should do about that. Should I give it away now, a lot of it, but I'm still making things, so I may need to draw from my stash. I have people in my family who would want it, or some will say nobody in their family is even interested in quilting or sewing or anything, so they're afraid it's going to end up in a landfill site or something like that. So yeah, that's a bit of a worry. So I thought I'd do a little research about fabric estate planning. And so this is what I came up with. I have some notes and I'm going to throw them up here on the screen. I did an AI search and some other ones, and this is sort of a compilation of what I found. And so if you're thinking about this, maybe this will give you some ideas. They talk, first of all, about planning ahead is key to ensuring that your fabric stash is handled according to your wishes. The primary options are gifting to friends and family, donating to charities and guilds, or selling and liquidating. Now, I would assume you would have to put this in your will.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, because if you don't put it in your will, nobody's going to know what your wishes are, and just leaving a note behind doesn't mean anything.
Especially if you suddenly pass away.
Yes.
And you know, you don't get a chance, or you get dementia, and you don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, do it with, well, being of sound mind and body, as they say in most last wills and testaments, right? So yeah, I think you've really got to go to your lawyer and update your will if you don't have one. And just as a side note, you have to have a will.
Yeah, make sure if you do not have a will now, to make sure to make a point of getting one.
I mean, I know that's one of those things people don't like to think about that much because, you know, you're thinking about your demise eventually. But, you know, it'll give you some peace of mind now while you're living.
Like I'm shocked of some people that you hear pass away, and you find out that they didn't have a will.
No.
And that their spouse or partner or whoever is with them suddenly realizes you don't have a will, and if you don't have a will, everything goes to the courts. Mm-hmm. Unless you're legally married, and then if you're legally married, it transfers to your spouse. But if you're not legally married or something like that, then it will go to the courts, and the courts decide where it goes.
Yeah, and that's when the family come out of the woodwork too. If you've got anything of value in your estate, and they all want it, and they will not necessarily consider the fact that you left a partner behind. They could, even if you have a will, if depending on how you have the will written up in that, they can contest it. So, you know, it is important to have a will for sure. But back to our fabric stuff. So, talking about planning ahead, it says communicate your wishes, discuss your plans with your executor, family, and friends while you are still well and active, which Walter already mentioned about, you know, before you get dementia or have something like that happen, or, you know, suddenly you just wake up and dead, you know, kind of a thing.
You wake up dead.
Yeah, you wake up dead. Whatever. So yeah, so you need to discuss that. But, you know, I think it's more than just a discussion. Well, I think you start off with discussing it and you find out who in your family would be interested in your stash. And, you know, you can extend this a little further than just your stash. What about the things that you have made, your quilts? Like I have probably 75 quilts here. I was going to say I might even have closer to 100. I don't know. Probably not 100 quilts, but all table runners, things like that. They're just sitting in big cloth bags, kind of a thing. You know, so that's something. Do you want those to be passed on, or do you want them, or would you want them donated? Well, we'll come to donations in a minute. It says, put it in writing. Include specific instructions in your will or a separate, clearly visible document in your sewing room. This removes the burden of decision making from grieving loved ones. Yeah, I think that's more. I think this goes back to, I would have more than just a clearly visible document pinned to the wall in your sewing room. I would definitely have it in my will if I care that much about it. Because, if you do have people in your family who are really interested in your stash, there might be some fighting going on with that, over it, if you don't specify. Or if you have no one in your family who doesn't care less, well, guess what? They're just going to get a big shovel and clean out your sewing room. Organize the stash. Sort your fabric into categories, project-specific kits, large pieces, small scraps, and label them. This makes it easier for others to follow your instructions. Okay, well, that means you've got to be a very organized person. Now, how many of us have sewing rooms where we have things labeled? Well, I do, but I'm special. But let's think, more people are probably more like, of the organizational scheme that Walter, subscribes to, so to speak.
Well, big deal. You have the labels on stuff, but you still can't find anything.
I can find things. I just have to do a little bit of a look. Well, sometimes when I label it, it's a general
Well, yeah, you
category.
label something and then you end up putting stuff in a different drawer. You can't find it.
Whatever. So, yeah, like I said, it goes back to, well, how organized are you? Designate a fabric buddy. Ask a fellow quilter or sewer to help manage the dispersal, as they will be best equipped to know the value and use of the materials. That's not such a bad idea. If you've got a close friend, you make a pact with them. If you go first, I will. What do you want me to do with your stuff? Of course, you get first dibs at it, if it's got good stuff in there, and vice versa. So that's not a bad idea, because I wonder how many people really have thought about that. Then they talk about options for dispersal, like where's it going to go? Well, gifting to others, family and friends. Offer special or desired pieces to loved ones who also sew or craft. I think that might apply more to your quilts than your fabric. You may have some quilts, really nice quilts, and you want to make sure they go to, say, you have grandchildren. And you want a specific quilt to go to a specific grandchild, do those a lot. My grandmother, that's what she did, but she did it while she was still alive. She made each of us a quilt, each of her grandchildren a quilt, and there were 5 of us. I have 2 cousins, and my brother and sister and I. And she made them all before she ever passed away, and then she had us choose which quilt we wanted out of them. They were all the same, just different colors, same style. And that was kind of smart, because she wanted to leave us something that was personal, that she had made for us, but she didn't wait for that to be, left to the whims of her will or whatever. She did it in real time. The stash party. Suggest that attendees at your memorial or gathering are welcome to take fabric they will use and cherish. Well, there you go. Prop you up in the box and put all the fabric around you to feet, and people come and pick and choose. Sorry for your loss. It's my gain.
And then a fight breaks out because one of them likes, 5 of them like the same quilt.
I want that K facet. I saw it first. No, I want that. Oh, that could be fun. That could make a great movie, the stash party. Especially if there's booze involved. Yeah. Thoughts here. Donating to organizations, local quilt guilds or sewing groups. Many guilds have charity programs. They use donated fabric to make quilts for those in need, such as children in foster care or veterans. Yeah, well, that's always a good thing, especially if you've been a member of a quilt guild. Then people know who you are, and they know, like, oh, look, it's Barbara's stash. Oh my God, she has some pretty things. We should do things with that. Charities that use fabric. Quilts of Valor, make quilts for service members and veterans. Well, okay, Quilts of Valor and other ones like that often are looking for fabric for their team, their members, for making future quilts and that. So, because that kind of group does not make money. It's all based on basically the charity of other people and on, people donating. Days for Girls, make reusable feminine hygiene products. Nothing says that I love my stash so much as having it all being made into tampons. I mean, I'm not so sure about. Well, I know there is a need, and to be serious about it, yes, I have seen groups that for over in third world countries or that where this kind of stuff, which is common for the females in North American society, is not for them, and there are certain needs that need to be taken care of. So, animal shelters use fabric for pet bedding and toys. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Doggies and kitties need to be kept warm, and so they need a nice quilt too, or fabric, or if it's fabric that's been around for 100 years, like the lady Mary who wrote this in and said, that there was old fabric from the 60s and that, and people wouldn't really want to make a quilt out of today. They work well as stuffing in pet beds. And I know there's lots of places that are shelters for animals and that, and they do appreciate. I know some of the people that are subscribers here on our channel have told me that that's what they do with their leftovers. They don't throw out their scraps. They save them up in a big bag, and when they get enough, they go to a shelter where they get made into pet beds, or they make the pet beds themselves. And that little doggy or little kitty gets to take the pet bed home with them as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a little personal gift for them. And also, it probably with an animal, I mean, they're going through a difficult time, a transition, new family. If they've been living with this little pet bed for a while in the shelter and they get to take it to their new home, it probably brings them a little bit of a calming atmosphere as they get adjusted to their new home. Or they chew it all up and throw it all over the house, one or the other. Schools and community programs. Contact local high schools, adult education centers, or art programs that may need fabric for classes or costume design. Okay, there is a problem with that in this day and age. First of all, they don't want anything that looks like it may have been used. They want substantial amounts of fabric as well. They don't want a fat quarter. I know that one of my teacher friends, who is the head of what used to be called Family and Consumer Studies, I don't know what they call it now, fashion design or something. They wouldn't be able to make anything out of a bunch of fat quarters for it because they're designing dresses and clothing and stuff. They would need, like Walter gets a minimum of 3 meters to make a shirt. So if you've got big chunks of fabric, though, I think that would be a good place for them. Thrift stores with a cause. Organizations like Goodwill or the Salvation Army accept fabric donations with proceeds funding community programs. Well, Goodwill, I don't think we have Goodwill anymore, do we?
I don't know if there's good. Well, there's no
scandal.
Goodwills in our area, no. So, and I don't know of any that still exist. They may in other provinces.
And I'm not so sure about the Salvation Army now. I think a lot of these places, thrift stores and that, have become extremely picky these days because they're trying to make money by selling stuff. So they don't want stuff that looks used or is out of fashion or stuff that's not going to sell.
I've tried to donate stuff to some places, and not that my stuff's awful or anything like that, but they get picky at certain times of the year as to what they'll take.
Yeah. So,
we went to one place that had a dresser I wanted to give out, and it was a wooden dresser, and they said, well, they won't take it unless they can look at it first and decide whether they want it or not.
And something the size of that is that we had to drag it down there, and for the chance that they'd go, nope, we don't want it, we got to drag it back.
Yeah.
So these
I think
picky.
Also that's mainly because they end up getting a lot of real garbage.
Yeah. And I don't fault them for that. Like, they're not a dumping ground. So, they want gently used things that people don't want anymore. They don't want stuff that's got holes in it, moth-eaten, that kind of stuff. Because no one's going to take it off the shelf. And then they've got to get rid of it somewhere. And, well, that's probably landfill anyway. So,
Yeah, and nowadays in our area anyway, if you take something to landfill, they charge you for that.
Yes, you pay for whatever you take to landfill. And I think they do that in most areas these days. with it, because it's basically a way of discouraging people from just throwing anything out. Like if you can recycle it, reuse it, donate it, or something like that, because our landfill sites are getting filled up, and that's the whole thing about that element of the quilting world and the garment making world that they called about sustainability too. That's part and parcel with that. um Churches and senior centers. Many churches and senior centers have active sewing or quilting groups that would gladly accept donations for their charitable projects. um Never really thought about it, but yeah, they probably would take some stuff. But again, you'd have to contact them and see what it is that they want, because churches and senior centers have a limited amount of storage space for things like this. So it depends on how active they're, if they have a program that meets, every week or something, or is very active in doing this, then yeah, they probably would appreciate it. So I guess you have to do your research. Quilt guilds. Many local quilt guilds have charity communities that make quilts for people, and they mentioned this earlier, in need. Children in foster care, hospital patients, veterans. They often have volunteers who are experienced in organizing large stashes and would appreciate the donation. And they talk about Quilts of Valor Foundation as well. But I remember when I belonged to a quilt guild, they had a table, and it was sort of like everybody brought stuff they had been doing some destashing, and it was a mountain of fabric, and most of it was ugly. And I think that brings up the whole point. If you don't like it, what makes you think someone else is going to like it? Like, I don't know. And they did give some to, like, they had a program where they made charity quilts. Well, some of those charity quilts were butt ugly, because I think they were making them from the fabric that came on that table. I have a problem with butt ugly quilts for charity, and I've talked about this before. I really think that if a quilt is going to be given to people who need help in one way or another, that it really behooves you. You don't have to give them the quilt you took 2 years to make, like my Stormy Sea or something like that. No, but
something that looks reasonably nice.
Looks reasonably nice and has good fabric in it, because this is going to get used probably, and it's not going to have maybe an opportunity to be washed on a regular basis, and they're not going to hang it on
unless
a wall.
it's something that, like, it's going to somebody that's living on the street type of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's you're donating it to like women's shelters or something, they want to receive something that looks
It's nice, because a quilt is more than just something to keep somebody warm. It's to help with them emotionally as well. They've got something of their own, especially like these ladies who end up in shelters and things like that, or the gentlemen that are in shelters. They have nothing. In the case of a woman's shelter, oftentimes all they have is a clothes on their back. They left in the middle of the night to get away from an extremely physically abusive and emotional abusive relationship. They grabbed the kids, they grabbed a bag, they stuffed in some underwear and socks, and off they went. They have nothing. So don't add to their nothingness by giving them a piece of shit. Give them something that, it may not be your absolute best work, and quilt show
worthy.
Worthy. But, think about their dignity. Give them something they can look and go, oh, that is so nice. Not, it's just a fucking blanket kind of thing. They talk about Project Linus, which is on the same line as other charitable groups that help people out. This helps kids. It's a nonprofit. It makes quilts and blankets for children who are seriously ill or in crisis. They accept fabric donations, especially quilting cottons and flannels. And there's lots of Project Linuses all across North America and around. So, yeah, but they specialize in helping out kids who are, in very traumatic situations. Creative reuse centers. Now, I have never heard of a creative reuse center. These nonprofit shops collect donated craft supplies and either resell them at a discount to the public or give them to teachers and artists for free. They are specifically set up to handle and sort large quantities of various materials. So I've never heard of one of these, and I don't know if we have such a thing in our area.
I'm not sure either if we have anything.
But
like
we never
that.
looked for it because I didn't know something like
I
this
mean,
existed.
the only thing I can think of is like Habitat for Humanity, but they wouldn't take fabric; they take building supplies.
Yeah.
So, but you've got in our area, other than Goodwill, Goodwill or Value Village or those type of places, are the only reuse centers that I can think of.
Yeah.
Unless we'd have to specifically look for something like that.
Yeah. But that was something new. I'd never heard of this. Hospice care assisted living centers. Some centers have sewing groups that make comfort items like heart pillows or busy blankets for patients with Alzheimer's. Yeah, that is true. There's a problem, like assisted living centers, or I guess that's the new term for what we used to call old folks home, nursing homes and stuff like that. The problem with nursing homes, anyways, maybe not so much assisted living, is the people in a nursing home, many of them can't do these even if they had been a quilter sewer, can't do this anymore because of health conditions or mental conditions and things like that. And they're so understaffed now that the staff are not going to be doing it either. And if we extend this to giving quilts, I don't give quilts to nursing homes for a good reason. Because when my mother was in the nursing home, one of her quilts went missing. Nobody seemed to know where it was. Oh, and they weren't too interested in locating it if they could. And
yeah, actually, my sister didn't label. Was it an Afghan that was crocheted that my mother crocheted years ago, and it was a beautiful Afghan. And she brought it to the nursing home. It didn't have a label on it. And it just disappeared. Nobody knew where it went.
Well, my mother's quilt disappeared too, but it had a label on it. And it was somebody there that working there. They stole it. Now, they tried to blame it on possibly, oh, well, we have a couple of the residents who, are a little bit, they walk into other people's rooms uninvited, and sometimes they pick up items because it's the nature of their mental state like that.
And it may not just be the staff, it may also be visitors, family visitors. They see a nice item and they go, oh, well, grandma doesn't need that. So
yeah, she'll never miss it.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So, I think you want to be careful with that idea when it comes to nursing homes, maybe assisted living centers, depending on what the definition of that is. Hospice care. Yeah. Especially you can extend this to, and I don't know, I guess it kind of like cancer, people going under cancer treatments. They're cold. They are always cold because it's the nature of chemo and stuff like that. And they have to sit there for hours on end. So I do know there are groups that specifically will accept donations or make quilts, lap quilts, to give to these people while they're going through the care, and then they can take it home with them as well. I haven't looked into that myself much further. I kind of forgot about that existing, because we do have cancer treatment center here in our hospital in our area, so that may be something down the road I should take a look at. Our Social Fabric, a Canadian nonprofit fabric recycling initiative that resells donated fabric and fiber art supplies to keep them out of landfills and get them in the hands of the community. I didn't know we had something like that. And I guess Our Social Fabric, I guess that must be the name of it. I have to look that one up and see what it is. They say it's Canadian, nonprofit. So there's a possibility. What's good about that is it's where they're putting it, is keeping them out of landfill with it. So, or maybe there's sort of a distribution that looks at all these other places too, and does it for you, kind of a deal. Then they talk about selling or repurposing it. So they say sell it. Family members can hold a quilter's garage sale or list the fabric online platforms like Facebook Marketplace or specialized fabric groups to recover some value. Okay, well, let's say that you're gone and someone in your family is going to look after this. That's a lot of work. So there might not be anybody in your family that really wants to go that route.
There are places that you can bring stuff to, like that do
Consignment.
yeah, no, like that are like what do you call auctions, online auctions.
Oh,
And I think that you just drop the stuff off and they
they bundle it
bundle
or
it or
everything
something.
like that. Yeah, so there might be a possibility. Um, Recycle it for for unusable scraps. Consider textile recycling programs like Retold Recycling that processes textiles into new materials. Well, I do know there are more and more of these kind of facilities popping up. I don't have any specific names, but I'm sure if you do a search, you can probably find ones that do that. They will take scraps and they do a process where they can make it into new fabric or make it into something else as well, like as a basis for creating like a substrate. There's something called it's a building material, and like something like 60% of it or something is recycled rags or stuff like that in it, fiber in it. It's some kind of building material. I can't think right now exactly what it is, but so that's a possibility. Make keepsakes. Loved ones can use the fabric to create memory quilts, pillows, or stuffed animals, which can be a comforting way to honor your memory, as long as they're sewers.
Yeah,
and they want to do
that's
that.
what they want to do. But
And
we don't know that. You
no,
don't know that.
No, you well, if you'd had someone in your family like that, then you maybe would. And you know, there are people that make t-shirt quilts, make memory quilts out of stuff as well. So, you know, maybe
Or get somebody to make it that
yeah.
is a sewer.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Find somebody that was willing to do that, that likes to do that. And it says tips for donating a large stash. Contact first. Call the organization beforehand to confirm they are currently accepting fabric donations and ask about their specific needs or guidelines. For example, fabric should be clean, minimal length requirements, etc. Assess the stash. If possible, sorting the fabric by type, quilting, cotton, upholstery, etc., and size. Large cut scraps can make it easier for the receiving organizations to use it. Now, this might go back to what they're saying about in organizing your stash before you're gone and you can't do it anymore. That's a lot of work. I don't know. It's a great idea, but I don't know how many people buy into it. Like, you might start with great intentions, but you know, if you've got a huge stash, yeah, you might get discouraged very quickly. I mean, I have a hard enough time trying to organize my fat quarters. And every time that I think I should and I start, I don't get very far because I get bored very quickly. Advertise locally. You can also post a stash on local social media groups like Facebook Marketplace or Buy Nothing groups, whatever that is, where local crafters will often come directly to pick up the materials from you. We have something here called Kijiji. I have put things on that before. Like I put two of my 3D printers that I wasn't using anymore up, and I said, you know, I was giving them away free. It wasn't up an hour. And a guy contacted me, wanted to know if they were still available. And he was as happy as a pig and you know what, getting them because he wanted them for his daughters because his daughters have been bugging him. I don't know how old his daughters were, but I took it they were elementary school age. And I think he probably didn't want to invest in an expensive printer because, you know, with kids, it's this week's must have, next week, well, that's old news. Don't want that. But he was very happy to get them, so that worked out very well. I've never tried to get rid of fabric that way because I have no intention of getting rid of any fabric right at the moment. But possibility. So anyways, there's all of these things to consider. So what do we plan to do with our stuff?
We don't have any plans.
We don't have any plans.
Actually, personally,
I don't care.
I don't care.
That's what I was going to say. Because here's why. I won't know. You know, I don't even label my quilts. And I know people say you should.
I mean, it's for anyone who has had to clean out somebody's house afterwards. You feel bad that you have to get rid of all their stuff.
But the thing is, what are you going to do with it if you don't get rid of it? And when I say get rid of it, you are looking at when I was cleaning out my mother's house and my mother's apartment, after she passed away, I looked at what she had in there, and she didn't have a lot in the apartment because we'd already done the major getting rid of things, but she had furniture. My sister didn't want the furniture. My brother, he is in BC. He didn't want the furniture because, how are we going to get it to him, kind of a thing. And it wasn't really worth having. Actually, she had a decent couch and chair because she bought those new when she moved into the apartment.
And she wasn't in an apartment more than, what, a
couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, about 4
yeah.
years. But, yeah, luckily at the time, I had a friend whose son had just bought a house in an area that he was going to rent out, but he wanted to rent it out furnished. And he had a truck. And I said to him, you can have whatever you want out of this apartment in terms of furniture and that. I said, the only stipulation is you have to get it out of the apartment, load it up and take it away. But you can have it all. He came with his father. They did it all. I didn't lift a finger. They came in and they just took it all. In fact, they were asking, are you sure you want to get rid of it? I says, yes, I have no use for this. End tables, coffee table. Some of my mother's stuff, like her good dishes, a silver tea service, some appliances and things like that. I didn't want them. My sister didn't want them. And they didn't hold a great deal of sentimental value to us. I mean, anything that had any kind of sentimental value or that kind of thing, we'd already taken. It was out of there. So I put them up on Kijiji. And one lady walked away with 2 table lamps that had tortoiseshell lampshades on them. Ugly. I don't like tortoiseshell, but my mother loved it. And a silver tea service, a full silver tea service. And I think she got the cart too.
Yeah.
There was a cart for it. My mother had it on. I think I got $125 for it. All of that. And I just wanted, and when I say I got it, it went into my mother's bank account. I didn't take that money. I managed my mother's money. That money went into my mother's bank account. Because she was still alive at that point. She was going in the nursing home. That's why we had to clean all that out. So, yeah. But I was really happy when those guys came and took everything. He was so happy. Well, yeah. He got a bedroom suite. He got a living room suite. He got miscellaneous appliances. He got enough to furnish a house for renting it. So, and I knew him, and I was happy that he got it. I don't think my mother was completely pleased. It was kind of a sad thing. I didn't really say too much to her about it. She knew that we were cleaning out. She did ask what went. I didn't tell her that her good dishes went for like $50. And that pissed me off as a side note.
Yeah,
the husband shows up and I have them all boxed up, and all wrapped up so they won't break or anything like that. He says, well, and he was a little apprehensive to say this to me. He says, my wife wants me to look at it all to make sure there's nothing broken or chipped. And I said, I think there was like 5-6 boxes.
Yeah.
And I said, they're in the box. I wrapped them up. Nothing has been broken. Nothing has been chipped. I am not going to take everything.
Actually, well, at that point in time, you could have just said, well, okay, fine. We won't.
Yeah.
We won't continue with the sale. It's up to you as is.
Yeah. Well, basically, we did say that. I said, I opened up one box and said, see how they're packed and everything. Here's what they look like. But I'm not going through the boxes. So take it or leave it. He took it. And so, yeah. So, sometimes, beggars can't be choosers. Kind of a deal. Anyways, yeah, all of that, though, is a lot of work. And that's what I'm saying. If you are the one that has to clean out somebody else's stuff, and even if you are a quilter, you probably already have a massive stash. You're probably looking at this other stash and going, how much of this do I really want or do I need, kind of a thing. You just want it out of your hair. So yeah, I think so. For us, I don't care. It's gone. It is no use to me at that point in my life or death anymore. What will I know? So, do with it what you will. I do know too that some people have this attitude, and I'm not condemning it. I don't understand it. Well, I do understand it. Well, I don't want to be a burden on my children when I go, so, I'm trying to get rid of some things now, and I'm trying to clean this up and make it really easy for them. Why? Let them suffer. But quite frankly, nice idea, but let them handle it. Because I'll bet you dollars to donuts that many of you out there that have said that, you may have said it because you ended up like I did, like we did, with our own families' estates and had to look after getting rid of everything. That may be where it's coming from. You don't want to put somebody else through that hell. Well, guess what? We don't have any children, so we don't have to put any children through hell. Yeah, they'll just bring a shovel into this place and clean it out. Yeah, backhoe. Now it goes. Okay, so anything else we can say about this? Well, the old saying, he or she who dies with the most fabric, who dies first with the, no, how's that go? Who dies with the most fabric wins. That's it. That's how that goes. So, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, you're thinking about fabric, but you've got other possessions that you have that you may value and stuff like that. And why is your fabric more special than the other items or whatever? Or,
it's just fabric.
Yeah.
Quilts are different, but just fabric. And really, this goes with those type of people, I think, not to be to insult anybody, but sometimes people get obsessed with fabric. Oh, I can't cut into that because it's too beautiful.
Well, I guess that also stands to reason, people that collect plates or something, or buy place settings and stuff, and then they never use the dishes because they're too good. They're good dishes.
Yeah.
Right, but then they never use them, and then they die, and they've never used their dishes.
Yeah. So maybe a better way to prepare for this kind of thing is use up your stash. Shop your stash, as they say. But
and part of the reason you're sewing in the first place is to either myself make clothes or whatever, or other people make quilts because they want a challenge or they want to make something nice, and they may not use the quilt afterwards, but it's the whole process of sewing.
It's the process,
and keeping you occupied and keeping your mind going. And the end quilt shouldn't unless it's a special quilt or something, shouldn't have as big a value to you.
Yeah. And if something in your stash does have that big a value on it, I think you should iron it, fold it up nicely, put a lovely ribbon on it, and put somebody's name on it.
Exactly.
And give it to them before you drop dead.
Yeah.
Christmas presents, people.
Yeah.
Really. Christmas, birthday presents, anniversary presents, baby shower gifts, whole bit. Take a nice bunch of your fabric that you're never going to cut into. Fold it up, nice little bundle with a bow, and give it to somebody who would appreciate that in your group. I mean, there's an idea. And I think that make you feel good too.
Yeah.
What are you going to feel when you're dead? Nothing. At least we think that. Maybe I'm wrong. Ooh, scary thought. Anyways, that's enough. Let's not be morbid. Because I think we're being morbid enough time about this topic. I did actually consider not talking about this topic because who wants to talk about end of life kind of a thing? But I have seen, I did some preliminary research, and this seems to be actually a topic that's out there. It comes up more times than you would think.
I mean, some people have the attitude, oh, that's something I don't want to think about.
Yeah.
that's where people end up not getting their wills done and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I don't want to think about that, so they don't get their wills done.
And if you're concerned with causing trouble for your family after you're gone, the worst thing you can do is go without a will, because that's going to cause somebody in your family, like your executor, a whole lot of headaches. Yes, because we both know, because we've been executors. So, yeah. Okay, well, next week something cheerier, but keep sending us ideas, people. We need some more ideas for So Chatty. Now, I am hoping, well, not hoping, I know. Next week, we're going to do an unboxing, but the unboxing of the Kawartha Quilting shop, fabric store, where do they call themselves? You've heard me talk about Kawartha Quilting. They're Santa Sack, because I got a notification earlier this week that the Santa Sack is ready for to be picked up, and we were a little too busy this week to find time to go up there and get it. And I was kind of hoping that at the same time maybe my quilt would have been done and I could kill two birds with one stone, but I haven't heard anything more about the quilt yet, so I don't know if I'll hear anything next week or not. I mean, she did say she'd have it done before Christmas. We still have a few weeks before Christmas. And also she said it would take about 4 weeks. And I don't know, next week might be 4 weeks.
Well, she said it would be done before Christmas, but it could be that she's gotten behind on
Well,
projects,
she may have. And I told her there wasn't any rush.
Yeah.
So, but either way, we'll go up there and pick up the Santa Sack. And so next Friday, we will do an unsacking. An unbagging. Sounds rude, whichever way you slice it. Okay, before I get into more trouble, it's time to say goodbye. So tune in to Stephen and Walter Live on Sunday, as usual, 4 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you all then. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.